The first thing you're going to need to do is make two templates. You'll need one that's 24 inches long by 14 inches wide, and you'll want to mark the center seam of that template at 7.5 inches wide. So right in the middle of that 14-inch width. And you'll also need another template that's 14 inches wide by 11 inches long for the actual seat pouch, the back part of the jeans. You'll see here what I'm talking about. And you'll see I just used a priority mailbox. It's something I had, nothing fancy. And again, you'll want to make sure to mark that 7.5 inch middle of that template. You can see on my box there at the bottom. To cut the pant legs off, I just folded the jeans in half and I just cut as straight as possible. I wanted them as, I guess, level. I don't know if that's the right word, but just cut as straight as possible. And then you'll see here what I did is I cut off the back pockets. I only use the back portion of the jeans, but you'll want to cut behind the seam right here. You'll cut behind there because you don't want to end up sewing through that thickness of that seam. If you're using both, the front and the back, you'll want to just cut the seam off completely. You'll find that the back portion of the seat pouch, where the pockets are, is quite a bit wider than 14 inches. It really depends on the size jeans you're wearing. I didn't mention that, but you don't want anything that's probably smaller than a size 10 in kids, and I did go all the way up to a size 34 in men's. What you'll need to do is kind of square off the seat pouch portion. And to do that, you create these folds that are by the pockets. Those folds can be smaller, they can be bigger. You just kind of adjust them until the back portion of that seat pouch or those jeans reaches 14 inches across, unless of course you're making a bigger seat pouch. Here you can see I'm folding it. You can choose to sew across that fold now when you're done, or just later on, or pin it. But I actually, on most of them, I just took my template and used a Sharpie. You'll see in these pictures. After I made the folds by the pockets, I took my 11 by 14 template and I centered the 7.5 inch center seam of my template on top of the seam on the jeans, so that way it was more centered, and I used a Sharpie to just kind of outline the template. From there, I just was able to cut. I removed the template and just cut on those lines. Here you can see once I removed the template where the lines were, and you can see how it's kind of making a square. What you will want to do is remove those belt loops so that way they don't get in the way when you're sewing. Also, here, this is just where I trimmed it off, and then the belt loop was in the way, so I had to remove those. At this point, you could actually sew across those folds like I did here, or if not, you can wait till you cut them all out and then pin them and sew them all at once. Here again on this one, you'll see that the pockets actually go almost all the way to the edge. Some pockets will go to the edge, some won't. It's not a big deal because you can sew right over those pockets if you're using a heavy-duty needle. You may run into the problem where the seat pouch where the pockets is quite a bit bigger than the pant leg, or quite a bit bigger than 14 inches wide. And for that, what I did is I created two folds, one on each side of the pocket, and then I sewed on both of those folds you'll see in these pictures. And then when you go to pin it to the pant leg, it'll just create kind of a bigger seat pouch. So here you can see the two folds. So I think this was the 34 pants, and you can see here it's a bigger seat pouch, which works fine. I have quite a few of these. Here again, just make sure you remove those belt loops. They're a pain if you don't. And here you can see where the pocket goes all the way up to the edge. I wanted to just show you that because sometimes I was concerned about that, but it didn't end up being a problem. And you can see here it makes almost a perfect square. once you fold those pockets over. On the pant legs, what I did is I cut in front of one of the seams only, and what you'll want to do is when you put your template on those pant legs, some of those, depending on the size of the pant leg, you might have to butt that template all the way up to the seam when you draw your line if it's a smaller pant, because I know on my smallest size jeans I almost did not have enough fabric, so I had to be really careful. On the bigger size jeans, it's easier and the seam ends up being right in the center of your seat pouch, so everything lines up, but it really doesn't matter. You'll see on some of them, if the seam is not in the center, it's fine, it looks fine, and it just adds to its uniqueness. Here I just placed the template onto the pant leg, and I used my Sharpie again and just traced the template for easy cutting. Once I did that to all my jeans, I simply cut them out. You'll see in the pictures that some are centered, some are not. You do want to keep that bottom edge of the pant leg. That ends up being a seam that's already done for you on the seat pouch. You don't want to cut that bottom hem off of that pant leg. Also, the other thing is when you're done cutting it, you'll see it resembles just a long rectangle. So now that all your pant legs are ready to go and your seat pouch portion of the seat pouch is ready to go, you'll want to, well, what I did is that's when I sewed across those folds on the seat pouches. I know earlier in the picture it showed that I had already sewn it, but that pair or that seat pouch was already one that I had done a while ago, and I didn't realize I had pulled that one. So you'll see in here my pile, I just sewed across those folds all at once. It just makes it quickly in an assembly line type way. Next, you're going to want to line the seat pouch or the seat portion of the seat pouch with its right side to the wrong side of the leg. I cannot tell you how many I had sewed the wrong way because I kind of forgot how I made these, and then I went and did this tutorial. So if you look at the pictures, the hem is at the edge. You want to make sure that that hem part is at the edge, and again, it's the wrong side of the pant leg to the right side of the seat pouch. And then you'll want to pin around that and then sew. I did go back and do a double stitch. I went and sewed around it again, so just so it'll take the pressure of the students' binders and whatnot inside those seat pouches, and I did reinforce where the belt loop parts are just so it withstands more pressure. You'll want to clip the edges and then turn these right side out. Sorry, I mean clip the corners. You can see from the pictures, you know what I mean, I'm sure. You'll need to clip the part of the pant leg where the pant leg meets the top of the seat pouch. That'll allow the pant leg to open up so it doesn't get in the way when you fold it over and you have to sew around it. Otherwise, it kind of folds into itself. Next, you fold the pant leg over. You can see where the hem is. You'll fold it over, and I left approximately 3 inches from the bottom of the seat pouch to the hem of the pant leg. You'll need to pin the pant leg to the seat pouch, leaving that 3-inch portion at the bottom. I did double or triple sew actually, and sometimes I would sew back and forth 4 times where the bottom of the leg met the seat pouch, just for when children, if they're pushing things in their seat pouch, it kind of just can take the weight. Of course, remove the pins and turn your seat pouch right side out, and you have a seat pouch. I put in a few pictures just so you can see I did sew over the pocket on some of these, just depending on the type of pant you have and where the pockets ended up being. Some of the seat pouches you will sew over the pockets on a part of them, and some of them you won't. It wasn't a big deal. It doesn't affect the seat pouch at all. The seat pouches are fairly easy to make, and they are rather quick to make. I think I made seven in about 4.5 hours, 5 hours, and it sure does make your life as a teacher a lot easier. It helps organize your students so that way they're not up, down, getting materials all the time. And if you're wondering why I didn't do the pocket in these, what I did find with as far as students are concerned is the pocket gets in the way for little kids. Maybe older kids, they're fine. It's pretty easy to add a pocket, but really that's more for decorative purposes. It does look nice, but again, for efficiency, it did just get in the way, is what I found. So I did leave it out, and the seat pouches that we made in this tutorial look just as fine, and they're very efficient for the students to use. For more tutorials and teaching materials, you can visit me at thewayiteach.blogspot.com, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.